Well, how about that, eh? Another 12 months down the drain. Let's talk about it. And I know it may sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm really pleased with what we've been able to achieve this year. The first milestone of the year naturally being on the 23rd of February, when I actually surpassed 100,000 subscribers. So seriously, looking back on that moment, I was really not expecting this to land within the space of a couple of years. Not many channels got past into six figures, so my channel being able to join that very exclusive club was quite a big deal. Naturally, I really thank you. I'll just put that out of the way because otherwise that might seem a little bit too self-important. It's something that I was really satisfied in seeing, that I was able to do something in the Formula One space, and my little thing was talking on the ladder absolutely ad nauseum right before the season of 2025 began, while we were still chewing over the fat that was pre-season testing. And naturally, chewing the fat of 2026 pre-season testing is going to be even more intense. And there's already the stuff regarding compression limits with engines, and this is why I'm so pleased to see the engine freeze now a thing of the past, because this is the kind of thing we would see all the time before Red Bull got their way with that particular embargo on development. And what you might call cheating, it's simple cat and mouse innovation. So welcome to Formula One, for those of you who might not be familiar with this particular practice. This is just the way things go. And the moments that really happened to the channel and myself this year were not ones I was really striving for. And they're also ones that really kind of crystallized what I was hoping to gather from this particular escapade. One of which was getting an invite to the Silverstone Museum around May time for the introduction of the F175 exhibition, all partnered up with Formula One itself in celebrating the first ever Grand Prix at that same circuit, and then me deciding to have a little bit of fun and staying in the hotel next to the pole position on the actual grid. By the way, all of the videos that I will be talking about, including this one, are available on this channel in a handy dandy playlist I will share with you called Breaching Containment, and proving to you once and for all I actually have legs. And in that particular moment, it really kind of defined with what I was really trying to achieve with what I wish to do in Formula One, and that is mucking in with the journalists. I sort of got an overview of that when I was at the F1 exhibition in 2024, but since I'm not talking about that year, I'm tying it into this one in that I really understood that I didn't want to be schmoozing with party people and going to events that are brought on to bring in big influencers just for the sake of getting a couple of Instagram pieces and then be done with it. No, I want to be mucking it in with the press. All of the people that provide all of the articles that I cite for my editorials, getting to know them on a personal level, and just being colleagues with them. Doing all of the work in the media centre, and traipsing up and down the paddock, and getting the internal gossip, and just absorbing all of the stuff that goes on during a Grand Prix weekend, which is exactly what I got to do. We'll talk about that later in the video. But the Silverstone exhibition was really cool in that I got to see something before the general public did, around a circuit which had some personal significance to me decades before I started this channel with my dad, going to an impromptu Silverstone test where I got to hear the splendour of a Honda Formula One V10 engine punch its way up the gears thanks to Jensen Button. I even had it on like a DV tape knocking around somewhere. If I ever find it, I will put it up on YouTube. I really got to look through those old DV tapes. They are there. And then, of course, the Silverstone Hotel. I mean, that in of itself was a fantastic experience, and this was actually documented in a special video that was unlisted, which I will share again in the playlist. And then, just a couple of months later, I was back for a handy-dandy event with McLaren sponsor WALLINGTON, courtesy of my friend John, in getting to see the British Grand Prix qualifying session from the hotel, and with many snacks and treats and delicacies, schmoozing with other people. Again, it sort of made me realise that my main bag for F1 work isn't really through this kind of thing. Yes, it was a nice experience, and I was really appreciative of the opportunity, and I certainly had some fun with some little reaction games on the side, and I am really pleased that Air Wallix offered me this opportunity at the last minute. And it was also really nice to talk to people who may not have known much about Formula One, and it quickly got me the reputation amongst all of the other punters that, hey, this guy knows his Formula One stuff, so go and talk to him. So I sort of got that rap with many people who may have just just gotten this because they were attributed to Air Wallix, and naturally, it was a really good experience to see an active Formula 1 session at Silverstone for an actual British Grand Prix, and then getting that extra little treat of British Formula 4 on the same docket. And another Grand Prix experience I got to absorb, but on a much grander scale, was actually attending a full race weekend, this time around Spielberg, the Red Bull Ring in Austria. I not only got to experience that all 4 days, I also got to experience an element of it through F1 experiences. I'll make this clear, this was not sponsored or handed to me as some sort of goodwill gesture from them. I wish. I actually paid through the nose for it, and even though it's something that I didn't make back through making those vlogs, I didn't really care. Going on a coach, staying in Graz at a Helmut Marko themed hotel, which was actually really nice by the way, definitely recommend it. But it was also seeing the Austrian experience because it's one of my favourite tracks, and I am still a little bit sore because I bought those tickets when I thought there was going to be a sprint weekend, but then a week later they announced, well, there wasn't going to be a sprint weekend at the Austrian Grand Prix, but I still had my good time at the hottest weekend of the European leg of Formula 1, but thankfully, the ventilation down the start-finish straight saved my absolute bum from absolutely melting. I actually have the flag. So this is something they handed out to us on the Sunday, and you see in the vlog, everyone got to wave it, and I actually got to take this home with me. I don't know whether I was supposed to, but, well, it's here right now. So, I've not got in trouble with the Austrian police, so I think we're good. So, but one thing that made it very clear is that it is a very busy experience. Understandably so, because the area of the Austrian Grand Prix is very small, and there's about 6-figure people attending this particular event, especially on race weekend. You'll start to understand what I wish to do with the vlogs when I wish to breach containment. It's all about providing you an experience which is true to me, because I like just to walk around, take things in, take a look at things which are a little unusual. They are definitely not cinematic experiences. They are relatively cringe. They are relatively unk status because I am approaching the big 4-0, but I don't really care. I may be cringy, but at least I'm free, damn it. I get to do what I want because it's on my channel, and something that might provide you a little bit of insight whether or not you would like to particularly go to an experience. I am considering going to Madrid next year, so the Madring experience, not only because I've seen the ticket prices and they're reasonably cheap, but also for the fact that, well, Gatwick to Madrid? That's crazy convenient. But there was an opportunity where I absolutely had to make the most of, and that is probably the biggest achievement, and one that I really didn't expect to get this quickly. One of these, an actual paddock pass. It took a while for the definite article to actually come out, but getting to work with the likes of DHL was an experience that I will never forget. I even got an advent calendar out of it, which in of itself was a really nice little gesture, which I really didn't see coming. Yeah, it was just one of those moments where I was just like, oh, that was really nice of them. And a handwritten Christmas card as well, even though I didn't get to meet the person who sent it. It was really good chocolate as well. It was a linked advent calendar as well, all DHL themed. But the main onus of that was to actually do some work in writing scripts, working with a camera person, as well as a very storied Austrian/German journalist, Christian Meneth, who works for Motorsport magazine and was doing a spot of directing. And I knew that things were going really well because I was absolutely bricking it, as you would find out from my vlog of the particular experience and the end result, in that it was really polished, and I knew things were going really well after the first couple of scenes where I got a fist bump from Christian, and I was like, oh, thank God, okay, I'm not embarrassing myself. That, hey, a YouTuber can actually do professional work. Yes, it was read from a teleprompter, but it really allowed me to produce something which I was really proud of. I had a lot of flair to it, and the fact I was able to actually get down 3-minute takes without a flub. I think I only had like a couple of moments where I really stepped over my words, but I will really remember that moment when I did that talking from within an F1 forklift. I really inconvenienced a couple of people from being in there, but I managed to get it done within 10 minutes, so I'm really pleased with that. But the main point of that was that I got to be within the F1 paddock on the Wednesday. I even met a couple of people who actually watched my videos, including one guy from Aston Martin. I even got to hear somebody from within the Hungarian Media Centre who'd heard my videos. It's not something I am looking for. It's just something I happen to find. But also doing a little bit of work on the side. So at least I was contributing something to the whole Formula 1 circus. So you will get to see the end result of it in the Breaching Containment playlist, which is about the secrets of Formula One logistics with DHL. So I must really thank them for that opportunity. And I would love to work with them again, as well as Christian, in 2026. So who knows what may happen. Then I got to tick off something I'd not done in 24 years, since 2001's edition of the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and that was, well, going to the Goodwood Festival of Speed. And I'm not gonna lie, it was something that was very, very hectic and extremely intense, but I'm really glad that I actually got to do it, in that it gave me some proper recce work from when my daughter might wish to go to the event. Since seriously, she does like very fast cars. In fact, she actually brings me books that have little cars on them, fast cars, as well as wanting me to play with the Formula One Duplo figures as well. So that's just making me think, well, I've just got to make sure I'm actually on the top of my game here. I actually have to make sure I know all of the cars and actually know the basic layout of the event, because the Festival of Speed, it's a fantastic place to go, especially in the early morning. So you got to get up early to get a decent parking space, as well as see areas where it's less likely to be rammed with traffic. Top tip: avoid the supercar area at the beginning of the day, right outside the entrance, because that's always something that gets crowded. So go as far to the end of where Goodwood Festival of Speed is as possible, and ideally get yourself a seat from when all of the racing goes down. And it was something I didn't think I'd actually get to do, and I got myself my first interaction with a Formula One driver, Gabriele Bortoletto, who I not only got to see get into Q3 for the first time at Austria, and he gets his first points, I also got his autograph, and he was looking quite rushed. I'm pretty sure it was a really intense situation for him, but I really appreciated that I managed to find myself a spot, and I got his autograph. So that is something that takes pride of place alongside my boys' other caps right there in the background, which you can see the first win one, the standard one. Oh yeah, the Silverstone thing, the cap's somewhere. Where is it? But it's a cap with Mika Häkkinen's signature on it. That was at the Air Wallach Silverstone event as well, one which I absolutely bricked, and I froze. I couldn't even talk to him, even though he seemed quite chatty. And that's something I need to get off of my chest for 2026, in actually talking to these personalities and not letting the fanboy within me absolutely bungle the opportunity. Which is something I managed to calm down about when I got to interview the now Formula 3 champion Rafa Kamara. And that was a really cool opportunity, in that he's a really nice guy. Very timid, very shy, but also somebody who really knew what he was talking about, and actually was able to do the deed itself in the run toward the Formula 3 title. And wouldn't you know it, now he's off to Invicta in Formula 2. He's off to something grander. I would love to talk to him again. I'm really working on a Nicholas Solov interview, a Freddie Slater one. Who knows what may transpire. But I would certainly love to have an interview with an active Formula One driver in the not too distant future. That is one of my goals for 2026, but we will get to that in a moment. And then we cap off with what I've just released last week, which is going to the Red Bull Technology Centre in Milton Keynes as part of my work with Castor. By the way, I am an affiliate with Castor, and if you wish to get yourself some handy discounts, especially at this holiday season, you can check out the pinned comment below. The actual experience of getting to go to a Formula One campus, as well as see the factory, even though I wasn't able to actually show you what was in there for obvious security and privacy reasons, was something that I again will never forget. And to think that it was Red Bull of all places in which I got this experience first, instead of, say, McLaren or Williams or Sauber. It was Red Bull. But I'm not gonna lie, the absolute presentation was polished. And the overall experience at MK7 was something absolutely mesmerizing. I remember gushing over the RB16B at the F1 exhibition when I could only get within 5 feet of it. At that MK7 facility at Milton Keynes, I could literally almost touch those intricate barred boards, get right up there with the RB19, one of the most dominant cars in F1 history. Of course, obviously not touching it, that's obviously just common courtesy. You can go and check out the full video for yourself, and there were a couple of bits I did have to trim for timing purposes, but the main fact was that I got to see some really cool things, and I understood a lot of other things which I didn't really know much about, including how the mission control at Red Bull's Technology Centre worked, as well as me discovering what Red Bull tasted like for the first time. Turns out it wasn't too bad. And no, that was not me being paid for that. It was a nice little bonus within my little goodie bag. So, where are we at right now? Well, we're approaching 134,000 subscribers, right with just a few days to go until 2025 ends. I have actually got something maybe cooking with the likes of the Boxed app in the next few days or weeks, but it's something I'm wishing to do to help integrate the Ladderman's yappings onto what's going on in that particular app, which is growing by the day. You can find it on the App Store, it's about to be on the Android store. It's something really, really interesting with a lead practitioner who is absolutely doing wonders in listening to user feedback and improving the user experience. Box app on the App Store of Apple, as well as Google in the not too distant future. It has been approved, it just needs to be rolled out. So maybe look for me there, as well as my predictions and winners and losers videos, as well as my little written tidbits as well. But you're probably wanting to know what my main goals for 2026 are. So you could maybe say these are predictions of sorts, and maybe a little bit of insight in what I wish to achieve with this sphere of content creation. Well, as I touched upon, I'm about to touch 134,000, and I would like to get to 150,000 before the year is out, and jokingly overtake Aldous. No beef toward him, it's just a nice little aspiration I've had since the very beginning. Then of course I would love to work in the paddock again and do some more pieces to camera, because it in of itself was a lot of fun. And having listened to a few audiobooks from the likes of Bernie Collins, Murray Walker, Ted Kravitz, you really get an understanding about all of the work it takes to produce those items that we just take in for a few minutes and then maybe forget about within a few days. You really get to see all the intricacies in what it takes to prepare for those situations, because I did have to write the script as well as present it right there, just a few meters away from actual F1 equipment and parts and machinery. Having all of the mechanics right there going, what is that guy yapping on about with the rugby shirt? What? In 26-degree weather? Yeah, that is a little bit of a, a quirk of me. I do like me my rugby tops, as well as, this North Coast 500 hoodie, which, by the way, I've actually now gone around the Scottish Highlands, and it was scary at the time, but I'm really glad that I did it. I got this in Gairloch, I think. So anyone in the Western Scottish region, Gairloch's a nice place, nice hotel. But yeah, at the end of it all, I still got a paddock pass, and I'm really pleased about that. And being affiliated with DHL to get this pass, yeah, I'm technically accredited by the FIA. The FIA knows who I am. Formula One management knows who I am, and I'm in the system. And clearly, they thought I was okay enough to get a pass, so hopefully I might get another one. I didn't disgrace myself too badly. But I would love to go to one day a Formula One team event, like a launch event or an announcement regarding drivers or what have you, because there's probably going to be a lot of those in the months to come. And not just be there as some kind of guest. I would like to just be there with the press and do a piece to camera and provide you lot a little bit of an insight into what goes on with those particular events. I don't want to be just sipping champagne, just going ha 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 with many other guests and pundits. It's nice on occasion, but it's not the main reason which I wish to flitter amongst the F1 paparazzi and the populace. I wish to just be there in the garage and the pit lane and the paddock and just absorb what goes on into making Formula One, and maybe getting a photo with a driver. I'd like to just at least have a conversation with Franco. That's all I want. And then, of course, this is my really big one. The biggest bucket list item I have is to narrate a Formula One audiobook. Doesn't really have to matter if it's a driver or the history of a team or a concept of Formula One or even just a general non-fiction Formula One book. I would love to actually do the work which it takes to make an audiobook, because I actually have done one. I am listed on Audible, I think. I don't know whether it's been delisted, but I did a piece a few years ago for a 180,000 word piece based on East Asian philosophy with many tricky pronunciations. It was a lot of work, but the person who made the book was pleased with it. I got paid for it, and I feel like I can pretty much do anything. Pronunciations within Formula One are easy. They're a trifle in comparison to what I did with that. I am proud of what I was able to do, but it makes me think, yeah, I can do this, and I'm a part of Formula One history by doing one of these audiobooks, because I've listened to quite a few, and mispronunciations are rife. Carlos Sainz, I've heard a few times, but Roman Grosjean, or Grosjean, yeah, that rubbed me up something awful. So, yeah. I thank you for listening all the way through to my hopes and dreams and coverings of what we've done on this channel. I hope to see you in 2026, and the first order of business will be back on Monday, depending on whether or not there's actually any news. But given the fact that we're all talking about engine compression limits and extra horsepower and Mercedes having an advantage and Red Bull having an advantage, I don't think we are going to be struggling for content. So I'll see you in a couple of days, and I thank you for listening, and Who knows what we may be able to do in the not too distant future. I'd love to have you join me. So I'll see you around. Oh, and that video. Go and watch that video. I think you'll like this one.